ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TK Live. Today is Wednesday, April 13th, and we are back in the garage for another live show. Dad's with us because he's back home finally. And very first order of business, once again, we're trying some new audio things. Let us know, how do we look, how do we sound? Is it all okay out there in YouTube land? Because we want to make sure you can hear us okay, because we got lots of fun stuff to talk about.
Are we loud or are we quiet? That's the big question. Those are the ones we got a lot of feedback on last week.
Apparently we were a little bit too quiet, so we tried to fix that up for you guys. So, TK Live, we come out here in the garage every other week, and we like to do a couple things. The first thing we do is we cover the latest news in the pickup truck world, so we're going to do that today. There's a little bit of it. And then we like to answer your questions. So if you want to send us your questions, you can do that by sending them to hey, that's Hey, @trucking.ca. Alternatively, if you're here live, drop them down there in the chat, and we will be sure to come back to your questions. And today, everybody, this show is really about our massive Arctic road trip, which gets underway next week. It's one of those funny things where it felt like it's been a long time coming now, and now all of a sudden it's on top of us. So we are excited, and we're going to go through it basically day by day and let you guys know this crazy trip that we have planned, give you all the details. Sounds like we sound okay.
Everybody's saying good. That. Everybody's saying loud. Everybody's saying good. So.
Everybody's happy.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I guess we will dive into our first bit of news, and then we'll come back to the Arctic trip, because I mentioned, we have a lot to talk about. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is the brand new Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. That is the Grand Wagoneer long wheelbase.
Because it wasn't long enough.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? This is a massive SUV, and Jeep just came along and made it even bigger. I'll throw it up on screen here for you guys. So yeah, Jeep wants to compete in this full-size SUV market. They want to compete with the Suburban, and they absolutely are doing that. Now they have two different models, right? A regular wheelbase and the long wheelbase. If you want to compete in this market, you better have a big old back end, and that's what the Grand Wagoneer has now. So I can spit out a couple numbers for you. So overall length here, we are talking about, where did my length go? It's just a hair longer than a Suburban at 226.7 inches. So yeah, we're a little bit longer than a Suburban. That's not a coincidence. They obviously benchmarked the Suburban. We have a 130-inch wheelbase. That's 7-inch longer than the normal model. Here's a good number for us, guys. 10,000 pounds of towing, which is a pretty serious number for a big SUV like this. And I think that might actually help them sell a few of these, especially if you want to pull a big travel trailer or something like that. The other big piece of news is this is going to be the introduction of the new Hurricane engine. So this is going to be an i6 twin turbo. Now in the Wagoneer, the non-Grand Wagoneer, it's going to make 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. And then once you step up into the Grand, you're going to get the high output version. That thing makes 510 horsepower, 500 pound-feet. So they are giving you quite a bit of power. It's cool to see the two different versions already.
You need quite a bit of power to move that quite a bit of vehicle.
Yeah, it's definitely a big SUV. And that's kind of it. I guess I should also touch on third row legroom. We're talking about 36.6 inches, which is 0.1 inch different than a Suburban. So once again, if you compare to those big GMs, this thing is right there. And I think Jeep obviously felt like they needed to play in this space. I think it's a good product. We did Grand Wagoneer, Dad and I, versus Escalade. So I don't know what your takeaway was on the Grand Wagoneer. I think the luxury side of it is great. There's screens everywhere. The seats are comfortable. They definitely went full luxury on this thing. I won't call it an off-road SUV by any means, but yeah, I think that they followed the segment. They did what they had to do by stretching out the wheelbase.
I think the thing that will be interesting to see is that Suburban owns this segment. Even though Navigator is out there, Suburban probably owns 80% of it and has for decades.
Absolutely.
So, I think Jeep is taking a straight shot at that. So they're giving you something that's identical. Because if you buy a Suburban, you're buying it for the size.
Totally.
First and foremost. With the Wagoneer, of course, you're also getting uber luxury. It really is kind of over the top. It almost gives me a sugar rush headache getting in that thing.
It's a lot of screens.
I know. It was one time I was like, I don't want to drive. I want to sit back there.
Yeah, or in the passenger seat and play with all the screens. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is the new Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer L long wheelbase. Good to know that they're out there. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and already jump into our big trip. So I guess let me preface it, and then we can kind of run with the details. So next week, starting, what's our first date?
Well, we're the 19th.
Tuesday, April the 19th. We are flying to the West Coast to Vancouver to start our trip, and we are going from Tacoma, Washington to Tuktoyaktuk in the Northwest Territories. That is, basically straight up the West Coast, and Tuktoyaktuk is the furthest north you can drive in Canada. In Alaska, you can get a little further north, but in Canada, that's the furthest north point you can get to, right at the Arctic Ocean. And we're taking a pair of Toyota Tundras. So Toyota Canada set this trip up for us, and they're sending us in an SR5 TRD off-road, which has the long wheelbase. I'm excited to see how that thing performs. And then, of course, we have a TRD Pro with the hybrid engine. The off-road just has the twin-turbo V6, so we have both power plants, 2 different trucks. This is going to be one hell of a trip.
5 guys, 1 big trailer. We got all kinds of gear to haul to get us from one place to another.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite the
But the
adventure.
big thing is, it's a rush, and I'm going to get it right out now so that you can comment on it. We started planning this thing back in the fall, and we were really hoping to have the trucks ready to go on the West Coast by the middle of March. And the key reason for that was there are 2 river crossings, ice crossings, the Mackenzie River and the Peel River in the Northwest Territories. So there's a sweet spot there. They break up around the end of April, and then you can't cross for a month until the ice goes and the ferry starts. So if you get stuck north of those rivers, that's just bad news bears. So we kept waiting for the date, and it finally came that they said, okay, the 19th of April. I did the math. I talked to the crew, and I said, we got to do 600 to 700 miles, 1,000, 1,200 kilometers a day. We got to get up there. We got to get across those rivers. We got to get to the Arctic Ocean, and we got to get south of those rivers again as quickly as possible. So we're going to do all that in about 6 days. And we watch the weather there every day. Now, thankfully, at the moment, it's still in the sort of -10 to -20 Celsius range. But, you just never know when they may suddenly get a warm spell. So we're going to be humping it like nobody's business to get over the ice and back again. So that truly is going to be the drama on this trip.
But also, we're going to have to push those trucks. Like, we cannot slow down, so there's no doubt we're going to be trying to maximize our time pushing the trucks. It's going to give us a great sense for the trucks. I had to pull it up here on the phone as you talked about it. In Inuvik, Northwest Territories, where we're going, currently, right this moment, it is only -12 Celsius, not bad. Tonight, though, it's going down to -24, -25 overnight, so it's still super cold.
The ice still should be hard, but there was certainly, I know when we initially started researching it, and we came across that Northwest Territories ferry website, and it said, we'll start operating on this day. And we went, oh, that overlaps a little. And I mean, I like these guys, but I don't want to sleep in a truck with them for 3 weeks. That doesn't sound fun.
The provinces have got actually excellent data. And so they give us a 20-year average closing date for the ice bridge, and that is May the 5th. So in the last 20 years, that was the average date on which it closed. Some years a little earlier, some years a little later. We're planning on crossing on the 25th and back on the 26th of April. So, yeah, there's a bit of a buffer there, but you know what? That's enough to make me sweat.
Never know. Yeah.
So I'm going to be pushing these guys hard. I expect a lot of whining, but I don't care. We got to go. We're going to go, and we're going to get there and get back.
Well, and it's cool because we're starting in, the relative warmth of the Pacific Northwest. You know what I mean? I haven't looked up the weather there. We should, because it's probably nice in Vancouver and in Tacoma.
It's temperate right now.
So,
I know I was looking the other day.
That's the other, and again, this is sort of the idea behind the trip, is pushing these trucks too. The fact that we're leaving from a really nice climate and going into the harshest climate that we can find should be a great test on both of these engines. And that's the other thing I want to get to, is just sort of what I want to get out of the trucks on the trip, because the big thing for me is comparing powertrain to powertrain and then interior to interior, because I want to see how the hybrid is power-wise versus fuel economy-wise, right? Is the fuel economy really that much better, and then does the power feel that much better? And then conversely, the TRD Pro we have, it's got the fully digital gauge cluster. It's got the huge screen in the center stack. The other truck has the old school gauges and the small screen. So spending so much time in these trucks, we're going to be able to really get a sense for what works good in a Tundra and what doesn't.
We're going to have a lot of hours, a lot of seat time in both of these trucks. And when we're in the south and we've got a little bit more cell coverage, internet coverage, we're going to try and go live from in the truck. We'll try and maybe even recreate this show in the cab of one of the trucks, or both if we can. But specifically, we're going to have hours where we're in dead zones. And in those times, I would love if you guys could lay out questions.
Sure.
What do you want to know? What's this knob like? How does that work? Do my boots fit under that seat? Ask me. I'm going to be sitting there. I got time. I got time. Ask me anything, and we will shoot it, and we will post it, and we will try and get you as in-depth with these trucks as we can while we're sitting in them.
So what platforms are you going to be putting out this information on, Matt?
So you're going to see it across all of our social media channels. Primarily, you will see it on YouTube. We're here. We're going to see a lot of shorts, a lot of stories, but we're also going to be sharing things on our Facebook page and our Instagram channel, Twitter, and heck, we're even going to dive in with TikTok and do what we can there. We're not going to be great, I'm sure, but we will do our best to be at least mildly entertaining.
I will not dance.
You have to on TikTok. That's the whole thing.
That's what I hear anyway.
So I just see a quick question, so I wanted to throw it out there. Someone just asked, which truck are we going to be towing with? We're going to switch, and I think that's another important part, right? If you remember the exact dimensions of the trailer, it's a 12-foot trailer?
12 by
12
6.
foot, single axle,
Yes. So it's a
6
small
foot.
utility trailer.
You know what? The first chance I get, we're going to pull it onto a scale so that we won't be guessing. I can actually tell you
Sure.
what the thing weighs. I just found out yesterday that actually we're hauling a bunch of extra tires because they just finished telling me that they shipped them out west with summer tires. And I said, no, we need winter tires. So they're going to swap them out. But then they called back and they said, well, listen, being that the trucks are going to be left in Whitehorse, can you take the other 8 tires with you?
Oh, my goodness.
On rims. So they're going to be in the trailer. It's going to weigh along with the other extra gear that we have. So we'll get the weight of that. And yeah, one of the things we're going to do on this trip is keep meticulous fuel records. How often, we fuel, what did we spend, but also fueling and mileage, towing as well as not towing, but also in the mountains, in the flats, in the Arctic, when we get into the cold, etc., so that we can really get a sense of, how these new engines are performing in sort of all those different climates and environments. And then that's all information that we want to bring back to you guys.
Yeah. So on the course of our trip, we're actually going to hit up 4 different Toyota dealerships, and I'm hoping that maybe we'll see some of you guys there. So if you are joining us from the West Coast, let me throw out the dates right now, and if you get a chance to come down, we're going to be stopping at the dealerships basically just to say hi, how you doing, shake hands, tell you about our trip, and then give you guys a chance to take a look at our cool new Tundras. So we're going to be at Richmond Toyota, that is Open Road Toyota, on April the 20th. These are all morning visits, I believe, right? 10 a.m.?
Not all of them.
No.
That one's afternoon, actually. And I think I used ink and I wrote it down right there.
Well, you didn't write. I wrote it. But anyways.
It says noon to 3 p.m.
Noon to 3 p.m. at Richmond Toyota on the very first day. And like I mentioned, that was April the 20th. April 21st, we go to Squamish Toyota. That's from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Glacier Toyota in Smithers, BC on April 22nd. And let's see when the Smithers starts.
That's an afternoon trip. We're looking at 3 to 6 p.m.
3 to 6, that's Glacier Toyota in Smithers, BC. And then the final one is actually the final day of our trip. So this is going to be in Whitehorse Toyota. That's April 29th. And that one is also going to be in the morning. I believe
10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah, so we'd love to see anybody come out and, hit us up at the dealership, say hi, and see how our trip's going, see if we're still happy and smiling or if we're just sad.
I think we're all going to be
angry.
in separate corners of the dealership by then, just so we don't have to smell each other.
I've done a few of these things, and, the one nice thing I can honestly say is I do get to pick the guys that I drive with. Most of the guys, other than my offspring, I've worked with for a very long time. Because, man, you really need to know the people you're traveling with. You can't just willy-nilly go, hey, do you want to travel 5,000 miles to the Arctic and back?
In 6 days.
Yeah, so I think we'll be okay like that. But, to Matt's point, when we do the live shows, be glad that there's no smell-o-vision.
And I think with the dealer visits, I think one important thing to get across here is we've got the hybrid. And I know across a lot of dealers we haven't seen this yet in the flesh or in the metal, as it were. So we've got the hybrid. If you're interested in that platform and you want to see it, we've got it. Come see it. We're going to be in your neighborhood, so to speak. Check it out. Because you might not see one for a while from what I've heard.
Yeah, the production was delayed on the hybrids a little bit, so they're just getting them built right now. The model we're actually taking is a pre-pro model.
Yeah.
So Toyota Canada had it available to us. So Matt is right. If you do want to check out that hybrid, come see ours. And then that's actually the exciting thing, too, is we're going to be one of the first people to go out there and report on that truck in the real world, which is pretty cool. I want to get a question here because I think it plays in nicely. James wants to know if there's any fear or jitters doing a trip this far north. And I wanted to point out to James that this is our equipment list, which we were going over right before we started this call. I think the short answer is yes. I mean, we're all born and bred in Ontario. We certainly are no strangers to off-roading and some tough situations, but we're not, born and bred in the Arctic. I'm not comfortable up there. So, I'm a little bit nervous. And as the days go on, it gets more real and more serious. And we're trying to plan for every friggin' disaster we can, right? We're trying to bring tow hooks and straps and warm clothes if we got to spend a night out there. Whatever, we can think of, we're trying to pack it. Because, I don't know. Like I said, I'm nervous. I don't know about you guys.
Extra rolls of toilet paper for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in failing to plan is planning to fail. So I plan to the nth degree. However, you can't predict the weather.
No.
And honestly, that's what this is about. If we get a stretch of decent, clear weather, then things should be going along sailingly. But if we get into a storm situation, then you have to drive accordingly. And for us, the problem is that we're on a schedule. So, and oftentimes you just can't, pull into the local sleep six because there ain't one.
Exactly.
So, we'll deal with that when the time comes, and we'll make prudent decisions because safety first. But again, those ice bridges, those things are in the back of my mind constantly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be a balance between racing and then, like you said, slowing down if we need to. And blowing snow closes the roads up there all the time. Like if you follow it, it happens multiple times a season. So, there's going to be some real dangers. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting.
So Dougie says it would be nice to see us driving all kinds of different makes of trucks. Well, you know what? Toyota's always been really good with us. I mean, I tell you, those guys, if you step up and say, are you willing to do something hard, their answer is, yeah, go for it. We'll pay the bill, and you just go out there and beat on it. I've been doing things with them for the last 15 years. And so I now extend that invitation to Ford, to GM, to Ram. Hell, I'll drive a Santa Cruz out there. I don't care. Just give me the gear. I'll go do it. So let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, that's fair. Toyota's always backed us really, really well, and obviously that's a big part of the trip is who's paying for it, right? Be honest. So in this case, Toyota stepped up.
So someone asks, is it an off-road trailer? I don't believe so.
Not.
I believe it is just an on-road.
It is not. However, because we learned this in Labrador when we went out there and did the Trans-Labrador Highway, we had quite a low boy trailer where it was sitting down, below the top level of the wheels, and that was no good because that thing was dragging. So this is not an quote-unquote off-road trailer, but we did make sure we got a trailer with lots of clearance.
Springs up off the ground.
Yeah, it's floor above the axle. There's no drop floor in it. So it's got a reasonable amount of clearance. However, we're not planning on going off-roading, so to speak. The
Yeah, not with the
Dempster,
trailer.
the Dempster Highway is enough off-road all by itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
and I mean the provinces have done really good, especially the industry up there has pushed them to make that road usable, make it good for every manner of vehicle because they've got guys shuttling themselves, the gear. You've got heavy trucks on those roads, so I mean it's dirt, it's gravel, yeah, but I'm not anticipating it being too severe, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you're right. Guys use this road all the time. It has to be at a certain level. Dad and I, actually, we've already done the Inuvik to Tuktoyaktuk part of it. Chevrolet brought us up there when they did a Silverado program a couple of years ago. And we were there. We were some of the first people to drive on it. And it was one of those things where you go to like what feels like the end of the world to drive on this crazy road, and it was a really, really nicely graded gravel road. So it wasn't tough by any means.
Nah, it was the first week of September.
Yeah, fair enough. The
And
weather's
it's-
going to change.
That's really what we're dealing with is we got a winter's worth of ice coming out of that road. And depending on temperature, that will tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a question there. Sorry, I lost it for a second. There we go.
Yeah, that's fine. I got another one.
It's not even a question. It's actually just someone adding, saying that they drove this road in October. So weather-wise, we should be okay.
Yeah.
I think we're about shoulder-wise in the season. We're about the same, October and April. So
We will see.
thanks.
There's a few guys here. I appreciate these. This guy, Yog2U2, he says, we moved from near Seattle to North Pole in 2021, drove the same route. It's amazing yet brutal. The weather is a definite factor. Looking forward to watching. Well, thanks for saying that. And yeah, like you said, it could be smooth sailing sunny days, or it could be brutal, and there's no way of telling.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know what? If you're interested, the Northwest Territories, the Yukon for that matter, have got great government weather and highway condition sites that have got stationary cameras.
The live view.
Yeah.
All, which is a live view, and they update it every day at noon, and it's very cool because if you look at it today, everything looks really, really nice. And 2 days ago, there were sections of the
Buried.
Dempster that were buried and the highway was closed.
Yep.
Because they also can't get a plow out there in any short order. The plows are at both ends of the highway, and the highway's 500 miles long. So it takes a long time to get a plow out and clean it up. So again, this is actually the challenge. It's not so much the road, but the weather and what the weather will do to us.
Totally. What is, remind me, the total kilometers? We're over 5,000, right?
We are 5,400 kilometers total, which is Vancouver to Tuktoyaktuk and back to Whitehorse,
which is where we'll end.
which translates to about 3,500 miles.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of driving. And to that end, too, somebody said make sure you download lots of music. And we actually, in our meetings, I made sure to bring up, hey, is the satellite radio turned on in those trucks? Because it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And satellite radio is epic when you're on a road trip because you don't lose the station. It's the same station in Vancouver.
Well, at the top of the world,
Except,
You're right, I forgot.
we're gonna lose it a bit.
I've learned
not
that.
altogether.
I've learned that the hard way. The further north you go, those satellites are fairly far south,
They're aimed, yeah.
and you will lose it. So,
Yeah.
so I got a little. What do you call those things that you put music
A
on?
little MP3?
Yeah, one of those.
That's real
I
old
thought you
school.
were going for an 8-track.
No. So you guys are gonna be listening to 8 hours of polka
Luckily, there's Bluetooth, so I'm loading up my phone with music.
and headphones.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's going to be a lot of snoring on this trip, too. Actually, you know what? And again, in all honesty, we're going to be able to very, competently tell people what it's like to sleep in a Tundra on the road. Because there's going to be a lot of naps going on. There's 5 of us. I imagine all 5 of us will be driving. So we're going to be swapping out. And, really getting a sense for the interior comfort on this truck.
Yeah, I mean the livability. I mean we're going to be
Yeah.
in these trucks, depending on how quickly we can get from place to place, 10 to 15 hours a day. So we can tell you about how comfortable this thing is to live in over the long period of time. Company, well, that's another issue, but
Yeah, that'll sort itself out there. Someone might get left behind.
if I don't come back, blame them.
It's a bear, man. A bear got him, I swear. Alrighty, well, what else can we add to this? We do have one canned question which we can get to, and then if people want to ask us more questions down there in the comments, we can kind of come back to them.
I do have just one random fact that I want to throw out there because I was thinking about it today.
Yeah.
I've actually done the drive to the Arctic in Alaska, up through Coldfoot, Anchorage, right up to Dead Horse. Now, Dead Horse is the end of the road, but the interesting thing is that you don't actually get to the Arctic Ocean because BP owns all that property, sort of from about 8 kilometers or so, 5 miles, to the coast. And they got a big guardhouse, and when you go up to the guardhouse and say, I just want to see the ocean, the guy says, get lost. It's happened to me twice. So if you do want to actually get to the Arctic and do the thing where you dip your toe in the ocean, you got to do it in Canada and go to Tuktoyaktuk because you can drive right down to the beach.
Yeah.
Unlike in Dead Horse where you can't.
Yeah. I didn't, and we haven't talked about this. I did cross my mind, though. We should try to find a place in Tacoma where we can dip a tire, because it'd be pretty cool to dip a tire in the Pacific at the beginning and then dip a tire in the Arctic at the end.
Well,
And maybe if it's not a tire, we'll bring something that we can dip.
yeah, well, what if it's not open? You got an auger?
No, I didn't think about that. I told you I'm from Ontario. Everything's opening up here. You're right. We might get there and it's not going to be open.
I just want to drive across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge and say I made it. That's kind of a thing for me now.
Yeah, that's gonna
I
be
got
cool.
2 questions here, and I'm going to kind of roll them into one. So Orange asked, how tall are we all?
Yeah.
And then immediately followed by James, who asked, what's the legroom like in that new Tundra? I saw the numbers the other day, and they seem a bit smaller.
I mean, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I also don't remember it being very small. You know,
It was
we were in
comfortable
that
when we
truck,
drove it, the
three
three
of
of
us.
us. Yeah.
And I mean, I think I'm the tallest at 6'2", and Matt's the shortest
I'm
at
the
6
shortest.
foot.
No,
Maybe a hair
5'11"
less.
and a half.
Yeah, he always says 6. He's not.
I lie to everyone.
Middle, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
6
yeah.
foot.
So yeah, obviously we're big guys. We're going to be filling up that space. But yeah, I remember the back seat in the Tundra being okay.
Lots of
being
knee room
livable.
from what I remember. My head didn't
It's
touch.
you know what? It's a good sized truck. I don't, and if it is any much smaller, it's negligible.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we get to one of the questions that I had from before. This is a question that got emailed to us. And then, like I mentioned, if you guys want to keep dropping stuff down in the comments about the Arctic, we will come back to you. But let's go ahead and answer Craig's question. So Craig sent this to us on email. And Craig wants to know, he says, I've never owned a truck, but I'm looking to buy one. I want to tow a 3,000-pound holiday trailer and maybe a 3,500-pound boat about 5 times a year. Other than that, he just wants a truck. We appreciate that, Craig. So currently he's trying to choose between a 2.7 F-150 XLT or a SR5 Tundra TRD Sport or TRD Off-Road. He likes the creature comforts of the F-150, but hesitant about the 2.7, has the gas mileage and the real-world power. With the Tundra, he doesn't understand the difference between TRD Sport suspension and TRD Off-Road. What are really the differences there? And then which truck would we go with? Well, I can give you my opinion first. First of all, for a 3,000 or 3,500 pound boat, the 2.7 in the Ford is fine. You do not need the bigger EcoBoost. That's a relatively small trailer. And that 2.7 power-wise really punches above its weight. I've always felt really strong about that engine. The downside, though, is the fuel economy. Because you're right up into there into that turbo, it's going to be thirsty when you're towing. But if you're only towing 5
times a year, it's not relative. If you
Yeah.
towed every weekend,
Yeah.
I'd say no, because you'd really, it would cost you.
Yeah.
5 times a year, it's no big deal.
So yeah, in terms of that, 2.7 F-150 is fine. Flip over to the Tundra question. Yeah, the TRD Sport, Tundra calls it sport tuned suspension. It's a little bit stiffer. That truck is not going to have quite as much body roll as the other trucks in the lineup. It is meant to be an on-road pavement truck. Is it a huge difference? No. We've driven the TRD Off-Road next to the TRD Sport. If you're going on a dirt road, same thing, a couple times a year, the Sport is fine. If you're doing some serious off-roading, yeah, you'll notice the difference. But that's really what it is. Sport, you're going to be stiffer. Off-road, you're not. Yeah. And then finally, if you want me to just sort of pick a truck, then yeah, I lean F-150. For your application, the Tundra is too much engine. You don't need as much power as it's offering. The fuel economy better on the Ford. The price point will probably be a bit better on the Ford. So yeah, I lean F-150.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that for your usage.
Yeah, I mean, the F-150, you have so many more options, right? Tundra, you're just limited. Yeah. You don't have as many engines, as many trims, all that stuff.
All right, so I got a question here, and I'm going to ask both of you guys, as you just did this. Quick answer, kind of cold, right off the hip shot here.
Okay.
New ZR2. Silverado ZR2. Is it more of a Tremor Rebel competitor or Raptor TRX competitor?
It's a perfect question. We were just talking about this because it's come up constantly. Here, so I got two answers, right? My gut is it's more of a Tremor Rebel competitor in the real world. However, that is Chevrolet's top trim off-road truck, period. That's how I look at it. And therefore, I have to compare it to the Raptor and the TRX. So again, out there in the desert, if I want to go 100 miles an hour, I would rather take a Raptor or a TRX. I'm sorry. But then when you look at the whole story on that truck and the price point, especially here in Canada, it gets more compelling. But yes, in the real world, I feel like it's probably closer to a Tremor or a Rebel.
I still think it would be over the Tremor or in Rebel, but under TRX and
Kinda
Raptor.
slides in the middle there.
When we're talking about capability.
Okay, yeah, I can see that, especially with the front locker. And then I definitely think that the Chevy will be better at high speeds than those two other trucks. The Chevy, Dad and I were doing 60 miles an hour out there on fairly rough trails, and it was just eating it up.
Really rough stuff.
Yeah, it's
Never bottomed.
Those shocks do a better job than the wheel travel numbers suggest on that truck.
good.
But actually, I like your answer the best. Not quite a Rebel, or not quite a TRX or a Raptor, but a step above a Tremor and a Rebel.
Yeah.
All right. Ron Nelson, you've been very patient tonight, and I think this last question is the best. What kind of music are we cranking in the truck for the road trip? And I think with the five guys we've got, it's going to be an interesting blend.
Yeah.
We're going to span the decades, all the genres. I mean, with we will have a Frenchman in tow.
Yeah, French Canadian on board, so there
So
will
a little
be
bit of we get Celine in the truck there. We listen to her wail away.
Hopefully
Le
not.
Champs Elysees.
I don't know though. Yeah, I don't know.
Have
what
you
I'm gonna load up.
downloaded any music?
Yeah, but not music people would know probably.
Ah.
You know what? I'll share this tidbit. When we went to Labrador and did that long road trip, we were dumb and we didn't actually pack music. And the new truck had satellite radio, but the old Tundra didn't. So we had about 5 CDs to go off of. 2 of them I don't even remember because they weren't worth listening to. And then the other ones were Dark Side of the Moon. That one I'll never forget because I think I listened to Dark Side 35, 40, 50 times. No exaggeration. We just let that CD loop. And then the other one was, I think, a Dallas Green CD. And then, I don't even remember. But the Dark Side was the best. So yeah, I got to rock Pink Floyd on this trip just for nostalgia.
I was gonna say you got to dig out the travel case from the Big Green road trip. We got to get Toots and the Maytals.
It's funny,
We
I
did
thought
a
about
lot
that.
of Toots and the Maytals on the way home.
Those 4 CDs, Matt and I bought 4 CDs in Nebraska on the Big Green road trip. We bought The Temptations, we bought Pantera, same thing, yeah, a reggae CD, Toots and the Maytals, and
Metallica or no?
something else. But I got to tell you, the Pantera CD, that lives in Big Green. When I drive Big Green, I'm always listening to Pantera, if somebody was wondering.
Mr. Dale forgive me, I'm going to butcher this. Dubnik, thank you very much, sir.
Hey,
We're glad you enjoyed the
$13.99.
show, enjoyed the content. That's awesome. Thank you for
thanks,
watching.
Dale.
We accept your money,
If
sir.
you've got a question, please drop it. We will do whatever we can. We'll get Dad to dance for another $1.
He might send his money back.
Or pay me now so I don't dance.
There you go. Yeah, it's better that way.
I've been loading stuff up this week, and I'm just trying to think because I got fairly eclectic taste. I mean, I got everything from Johnny Cash to AC/DC, Supertramp, Bryan Adams, Pink Floyd, of course,
Yeah.
Eagles.
Sleep the classic rock stations.
Yeah, basically the oldie stuff. But then I've also got some Limp Bizkit, some Ludacris.
Nice.
bitch.
But the old stuff, yeah, exactly. and then any song that's got a truck in it, Red Sovine, Phantom 309, etc., etc.
Yeah, we're going to listen to Convoy a lot, right?
I've got C.W. McCall, Convoy on there. Got some Merle Haggard.
We got Ali G in the house. Hooked us
Man.
up with another $2.
Thanks for $2.
Did you want him to dance? Is that why you dropped in there? Or
Well, actually, the funny thing, Allie, is that right now it's super warm out here.
Yeah, it's
like
nice
10
in here
degrees
tonight.
Or something.
Yeah.
Matthew and I, when we first started, I think the first show was like minus 16.
That
or
was a rough
something
night.
Stupid.
that was a rough
Yeah,
night.
tonight's not bad. I'm old, so I wear my coat.
Yeah, this is just a hoodie tonight. I don't think we're uncomfortable. Up there, I don't know what you guys are packing. I've got lined pants. I'm bringing my long underwear. I've got an extra pair of windbreaker, like bib style snow pants. I've got my snowboard coat.
Yeah.
And then I got to bring my my full bomber hat, I think, just to be safe.
I'm going full snowmobile suit.
Yeah,
My whole snowmobile
me
gear.
too. I'm bringing all my snowmobile gear, throw it in the bottom of the bag. I may not use it, but hell, I don't want to be without it either.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to shoot in places like that before, and it sucks having to get down into the ditch, and the wind is coming across, and yeah, so that's what I'm
Never
ready
mind in
for.
the ditch. We usually throw Steve in the back of the
Yeah, for truck to truck.
so he can shoot truck to truck. It's it can get a little gnarly out there. But then again, he is the junior member of the group, so that's his job.
Yeah, we're going to be well prepared, hopefully, man. Well prepared.
Well, thank you very much for those donations, guys. That's awesome.
For sure. I saw another question here we can get to, which is I was thinking about a Gladiator, and is the diesel worth the cost? And, you know, usually I would turn this back around on you, right, and say, well, what are you doing with it? Generally, the answer is a lot of miles or towing a lot, probably get the diesel. Not a lot of miles, not towing a lot, you're probably fine with the gas. The 3.6 gas is pretty good. It's not that thirsty
It
of an
is.
engine.
It's a good engine all around.
Yeah.
And really, that's it. If you're a high miler, then yeah, you can look at the diesel. But if you're not, it's not worth the extra money.
And I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but the diesel's not inexpensive in the Gladiator. It's at least $4,000, if not $5,000. So
Somewhere in that neck of the
yeah,
woods.
you're paying for it.
We're going to circle back on ourselves here.
Sure.
Nate asks, what dates are we planning? And he just says he's sorry he's late to the party. It doesn't hurt for anybody that's tuned in after we made the announcement.
Yeah,
So we
of
are on
course.
the road from April 19th to the 29th. And if you want to start following along, jump in on any of our social media channels. Facebook, Instagram, right here on YouTube. You are going to see all kinds of updates from the day we start till the day we end.
Yeah, we're
So-
going to be trying to just do as much as we can, especially on YouTube. Matt mentioned it. We'll probably do a lot of shorts just because they're really easy to shoot and quick and just fire them out at you guys. And then at night, you know, we'll see how much time I have to be able to sit down and put together videos. At the very least, we will be doing updates, so like both published videos, just updates along the way. And then I think at the end of the trip, we got to discuss this more too, but we might end up doing a big roundup video and then even some focused videos on, hey, let's just dive into the fuel economy. Hey, let's just dive into one specific aspect of the truck. So
Yeah, I mean, my
there's a lot
sense is, I mean, we're shooting for 10 days. So we are going to create a mass of information. We could do an entire video just on the fuel economy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of the thing. Watch for it live is the point as we're out there, but then, you know, probably for a good month after the fact, we'll just be kind of putting together everything we brought home and trying to get it out to you guys. But yeah, all the channels, but YouTube for sure.
And if you see something, let's say we shoot a short on, like Steve and I were talking about earlier, just before we went live, comparing the two stereo systems, the large touchscreen versus the small touchscreen. If you see a video like that and you want to know, hey, does it have this feature? Shoot that to us as a comment, or just tag us in that question directly, and we got time. We will answer you directly. I've got the time to do it, so ask anything you want to know about these trucks while we're in them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Frank
right.
just popped up there with what are the go-to snacks for a trip like that, which is always a great question.
Yeah.
You need road trip snacks.
We've talked about the grocery trip.
You know, beef jerky. I'm a beef jerky guy.
Fruit,
Granola bars.
keep you regular.
Yeah, that is true on a 10-day trip. Can't just eat beef jerky and cheese.
water.
You can't. The burgers and fries will kill you after day 3. Bung you up like Swiss chocolate.
Yeah.
The granola bars for sure. Forgive the vulgar vernacular here, but my trade school teacher used to call it cans of nuclear horse piss. The energy drinks. Those might be key on some of those longer days.
Yeah, sometimes, absolutely. What else go to? Some peanuts in the truck too, you know? And then just some chewing gum. I love chewing on some gum as we're driving down the road. So we'll see what else is up there too. You know, I want some moose jerky, some
Muskox.
caribou jerky, muskox.
Yeah,
whatever
muskox.
we can get in the north.
And,
Yeah.
and then you guys get some blubber when we get to Inuvik, because
Okay.
it's horrible.
Don't tell them that.
All right.
Yeah, we'll try some interesting stuff up there. No doubt about that. I wonder if we can stop in for a sour toe cocktail. I didn't even think about that.
I gotta
So-
re-up my membership card.
Yeah, when we're
Yeah,
rolling
and-
through.
Yeah, in Dawson City, they have this thing called a sour toe cocktail. The name kind of gives it away. Started about 30, 40 years ago, where some guy who lost the toe to frostbite donated it to the local bar. They pickled it in salt, and then they started throwing it in people's drinks So for $20, you get a shot of whatever you want, and you get to kiss the toe. It's a stupid thing to do, but I mean, it's winter, it's dark, and it's cold outside, and you're drunk.
I have carried my membership card, and I left my wallet in the house, so I can't show the camera. So it's kind of moot, and I'm
ready.
sorry. But I've carried my card in my wallet
for this moment.
15 years for this moment, and it's in the house. No, I've actually won a few arguments by saying, guess what I did once upon a time? Blammo.
That's
so
funny.
I think we all need to re-up that card.
Yeah.
I think just so that you get how serious this thing is there's a $500 charge if you swallow the toe. And apparently it's happened 3 times.
I know. I remember when we sat there, the guy told us that if you swallow the toe, you got to donate a toe too. That was a little off-putting.
Yeah, that was too.
We'll sleep outside tonight and come back in the morning. We'll take a time.
All right. NL Ken says this trip will make me want to buy the new Tundra or keep my 21. Well, that's kind of that's Toyota's point.
Yeah.
They're sending us to show you the new truck so you can make that choice.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a big changeover, right, from the last model to this one.
And are we going to have both cabs on both trucks?
No, they're both crew cabs.
No, they're both crew
Yeah,
cabs.
we have both bed lengths, so we have 2 different wheelbases, but they're both crew cabs.
Yeah, we got the long wheelbase on the green one.
Yeah.
So at least, we got a few different things. And of course, it's also SR5. We rarely get something which is sort of, base.
More basic.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
All right.
There's another one there about the ZR2 drive. Just asking, did Chevy give us any hint that they might put the straight 6 diesel in at a later date?
No.
No. Yeah, is the short answer. No, I don't think so. I don't see it really coming either. I would like it. I think a diesel in that truck would be really cool. The issue could be a whole front fascia thing. That's usually what happens, especially with an i6. It's probably longer. They try to trim that fascia. They don't have space for it. So I don't know if that's the problem. That sometimes is. But on the flip side, we're all sitting here talking about, does it compete with the Raptor? Well, in that world, you have to have a big V8. You got to have something with big gas power, and I think that's all Chevy will offer for that reason alone.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing that sometimes never comes up, because people assume that engines are in unlimited supply, but they're not. Particularly diesels, because they're a smaller build number than the gas motors, and that engine is doing so well for GM that they sell every one they build. Mm-hmm. So to add it to another model would really just end up disappointing people when they say, you can't get that engine for a year. So I don't even think they're going to bother.
Yeah, I kind of got the same feeling as well. All right, what else do we got?
Well, do we have any opinions on the hot V setup in the new Tundra? I would agree with this one. I'm seeing a lot of reliability issues on some YouTube channels. I think with any new power plant, you're going to get that early adopter, first run, oh crap, we missed something, or we misengineered something.
Sure.
And I mean, it's one of those things that I've always found. I worked with Toyota for nearly a decade. They're really good at saying, okay, we screwed up, we got to fix it. So did they make a mistake? Possibly. Will they fix it? Yes.
Yeah.
It might take some time to figure out what it is. It might take some time to figure out how to fix it, but they usually back their products really well when it comes to that type of thing. Now, is it something I'm worried about on this trip? A little bit.
Sure.
Because 5 of us in one truck to get out or to get home, that's even more fun than what we're originally planning.
Well, that's why we got the trailer. I know where I'm putting you. Look, this is the one thing about doing any kind of like an endurance run like this is we're not going to drive around the block and go, hey, this is a great engine. No, you know what? After 10 days of just butt hurt humping it, we're going to have a real good sense of how well that motor's holding up.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, and it's not like hot V is a new thing. That's always what I go back to too, right? So if it's been done other places successfully, it can obviously be done here, right?
All right. Well, we're kind of dwindling on questions. Yeah, if we had a double cab for this trip, that would have been
yeah, we did
not
the double
fun.
cab right on the channel. You can go see that review.
Yeah.
The back seat is very small. It would not have been good. We could have had gear back there, right? But not a person.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Not for any length of time.
you guys driving up here tonight, manageable. This trip, no.
Not for any length of time.
Yeah.
And then since General Motors is pushing for all electric,
a good
is
question.
ICE dead in the Silverado?
Inevitably, yes.
Yeah.
I think is the short answer, right? I mean,
It's just a question of when.
yeah.
There might be a few more tweaks. based on where we are on the threshold of the electrification and the overall mileage milestones that we're looking at here, I don't see a lot more dollars being put into
a new
gas
gas
diesel.
engine. Yeah, because
Like,
these companies are
they're-
planning a decade, 2 decades out, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make that pivot early, and they've all obviously done a full pivot to full electric.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you said it. How long? 2030 maybe you'll start seeing gas engines really go away. That's sort of my gut on it, but the electric trucks, electric vehicles are coming.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And actually, to that vein, let's just go ahead and tease this now. Immediately when we get back from our Arctic road trip, Dad and I turn around and we go to Texas to drive the F-150 Lightning. So we're going to get our first crack. I think it's our first crack at an all-electric pickup, period. So it's going to be really exciting. I mean, F-150 Lightning is such an important product, arguably the most important truck they've ever built. Save the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about this adoption. And let's face it, and again, I'm speaking from the point of view of somebody who's in his 60s. It's what you grew up with. It's what you learned from your dad. It's what you saw your buddies own. You learned an awful lot about gasoline engines, not because you were trying to, just by osmosis. It was all around you. All right, you understood gas and oil by the time you were in your 20s. All right, because you started looking at it from one time you were a little kid. Now we got electric, and Steve's kids, they'll have no problem with electric because they're going to grow up with it. For us, we got to relearn a whole new genre. That doesn't make it bad. It just simply makes it a little bit scary because there's a whole new way of looking at transportation that we're unfamiliar with. But you know what? Buckle up. That's where we're going.
Yeah, that's it. It's obvious going that way, right? Everyone is pushing towards fully electric, and the big fear still is the infrastructure is not quite there. So once the infrastructure feels like it's caught up, but once people feel more confident in the infrastructure too, then you won't be as worried about the vehicles, right?
Yeah. Are we prepared to recover each other if needed?
What are we talking about here?
Pulling trucks out of the ditch.
Or CPR. I mean, that's what I read
There's a
into
couple
it.
of old guys, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're bringing straps. We are totally aware of one of the Tundra's biggest shortcomings, which is that it doesn't have friggin' tow hooks in the front end.
So we've gone with a fully axle strap.
We got axle straps. We got toe chains. So we've gone as far as jacks, axle stand, various hand tools, all the sort of the basic stuff that we might be able to use to get ourselves out of trouble. We had that situation in Labrador where yours truly swung a little wide and went in a ditch, and we recovered that fairly easily. But you know what? If you had nothing, that would have been a bad day.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, we're prepared to do what we have to do, and then if worst comes to worst, we'll leave it behind, call Toyota, and tell them to go get their truck.
It's up north.
It's out somewhere in the ditch if somebody hasn't grabbed it by now.
Yeah.
We'll leave the keys.
yeah, it's going to be something, man. Parker did ask us when can we expect the Tundra video, so we'll just hit on this again. We're going to be doing live videos the whole time we're out there, which is between Tuesday, April 19th, and the following Friday, with the 29th of April. And then after that, so in early May, you can probably expect kind of like the big roundup videos, and then maybe some more videos following. So, you know what, start following along next Tuesday, and don't stop following along until mid-May, and basically you'll get all the Tundra stuff, because we're going to have a ton of stuff to share.
Yeah, the best thing about this trip is that we really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be as big for us as it is for you.
Yeah.
Tangs M, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
$10.
Wish you all good luck. Really wish you all had a Tacoma on this adventure, but hey, still excited to see if this new Tundra is not just all about the bling. If you don't like the handlebar mustache that is reminiscent.
And you know what? We might as well go behind the scenes a little. We actually had a conversation with Toyota about maybe bringing a Tacoma and a Tundra. Once again, for the purposes of comparing, what's the smaller truck versus the bigger truck like. We ended up leaning Tundra, and Toyota, frankly, ended up leaning Tundra because it's the brand new truck. We also wanted to have both Tundra powertrains. That was pretty important for us. And then Tacoma is about to be brand new. So that was the other thing. For them, it was like, why are we going to show off our oldest truck?
The last year of its run.
Yes, sorry, the last model year, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the exciting thing there is once the brand new Tacoma comes out, maybe we can talk them into another big adventure.
Yeah, I've sort of already had a little bit of that conversation, and I guess where they left it with us was, let's see how this goes first.
Yeah.
But if all goes well, hey, I think we would certainly try to hit them up next year and do something wicked cool with
right.
Tacoma.
I've got, well, in the same vein of asking Toyota for things, someone did ask, any ideas about a Tundra Hybrid Prime model? And I mean, I think the logical progression, like you mentioned, is going from to the Prime model, going to that plug-in model,
Big Green as
doing
a
the little
recovery.
steps. Oh, we could take Big Green. That would be entertaining.
Yeah, we'll take Big Green for recovery.
The logical steps are to work up to that full EV, and I
Yeah.
think Toyota's really slow when it comes to these things. So there's
Yeah.
no reason why they won't utilize what they have before they have to go full new. And this question I'm going to get to, James, I'm not knocking you at all. I don't know where you live, but is there any mountains on this trip? Yes. We
Many
never
mountains.
leave the mountains until we get to the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, in British Columbia, it's big mountains. They're called the Rocky Mountains, and
Yep.
several other ranges, right up into the Yukon. So we're gonna be in the mountains for well over 1,000 miles.
Yeah, it's gonna be. That's actually just another thing we haven't even mentioned. But I'm just excited from a cameraman point of view. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gorgeous up there. It's beautiful scenery, untouched. And again, we're always shooting the same places here in Ontario. So it's such a pleasure to be able to go somewhere where it's so gorgeous and just get these absolutely beautiful scenery shots. We're bringing a drone with us, so we'll put the drone up as much as we can too. And I'm excited just to make it look really nice.
And I think you guys have both accomplished this already, but for myself, this will now mean I've driven to the northernmost, southernmost, easternmost, and westernmost points in Canada.
Nice.
Yeah.
After
pretty
this
good.
trip.
Yeah, that's cool.
I had collected west, south, and east, but I had not done north. So this will be another little punch on the card there.
Yeah, can you name them all?
Point Pelee is the southernmost.
That's in Lake Erie.
In Lake Erie. Cape Spear in Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, on the east coast of Newfoundland.
And this one's going to get me on the west side. It's Haines Junction?
Nope.
Or
No, that's in the States. Beaver Creek,
Okay.
Yukon,
Okay.
is the westernmost point in Canada.
there we go.
And the northernmost point that you can drive to
That's the
is
hook.
Tuktoyaktuk. Otherwise, it's something like Alert.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
the actual.
like-
That's
Way-
boats, and you got to be part of the military, and that sounds like work.
Yeah, like you're really close to Russia up there.
Yeah. Someone else asked us too, will the trucks have tonneau covers or toppers? And I think the answer is no. We thought about just getting tonneaus maybe, but then we ended up getting the trailer, and once we had the trailer, we didn't really need the tonneau. So no, we're going to have open beds. So
Well,
see
now
what-
that we heard about these extra, that's the first I heard about the extra tires. Maybe we lay all the tires in the bed because that
Well,
seems
we
like
can.
a great place to
Yeah,
ditch
well,
'em.
yeah, exactly. Well, we'll figure out how to distribute the weight. But with the trailer, we got a lot of extra space.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do we got? Do you have any expectations for the truck with such cold weather? I mean, I don't know. I expect them to run well. Once again, we're not going to places where trucks don't live and work on a daily basis. So I guess the expectation is that the trucks just work,
The hybrid being a pre-production, we're not anticipating any problems. That's the only one I'm worried about in the cold, just because being a pre-production, it might have an odd module here and there that wasn't built for that truck yet. So maybe it doesn't like this piece of data, and it's just me stressing out about it because I've seen these weird things happen on these trucks. So that's the only factor I'm worried about, but I'm hoping it's a complete non-issue.
I got duct tape.
We can fix it
We
all.
can fix it all.
Red Green can do it. James did pipe back in and said he lives in Florida, so no mountains.
All right, well, there you go, James. We are the opposite end of the country from you and going north.
We got lots of mountains and no gators.
Yeah, absolutely.
road gators.
Well, yeah, folks. I mean, I think we are winding down. If you guys want to reach out, I'll throw the email again. It is hey@trucking.ca. It's HEY@trucking.ca. Email us with any questions you have about the trip. If you're on the West Coast, you want to say hi, you want to meet us at a dealership, reach out to the email, and we'll be happy to correspond. And then hit us up on any of those social media networks too. We're going to do our best to have the back and forth going the whole trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Check the community page in the next coming days. I will post the entire dealer schedule, and I love you guys. I don't want you to know exactly where we are the whole time, But I'm going to give you approximates. On this day, we're going to be in this stretch. I don't know, you want to hang out on an overpass and wave at us as we go by? That would be really cool.
Yeah, but don't chase us down.
No,
We don't know if you're armed.
we're not stopping. We can't stop.
Yeah, that is true. Well, with that, guys, unless you have anything else you want to add to it, I think we've wrapped this one up. And yeah, the next live show will come at you live from inside a Toyota Tundra somewhere on the West Coast.
Yep.
So look forward to that, and let us know if you got questions. And that's it for now.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
night. Take care everybody. Have a good night.